Hi. Now when you start playing a lead line over some chords, whether it's a backing track or you're playing it with a live band or whatever, you need to take into consideration what notes you play. How does the scale choice that you're using as a lead player relate to the underlying chords? How do the notes in that lead melody work with or against the chords, to give you various types of tension or whatever in what you're playing. But just as important is thinking about the feel of it, how you structure it, rather than just going in and playing an endless stream of notes. Think about how you structure your lead lines, particularly like your solos. There's quite a few really good examples of what I'm talking about, and one that I use time and again when I'm talking to students. There's a really good guitar player, a guy called Frank Gambale, and his album, he did an album a good many years ago now called Brave New Guitar, and on that album there's a track called Blues for Hollywood, which for me is just a brilliant example of how to structure a solo. It starts off actually quite slow, similar sort of feel to the main verse chorus type progression of the piece, but then as the solo evolves, it becomes more intense. He starts playing faster, more complex passages. If you dropped into the solo, say 2/3 of the way through, it would actually, I think, be quite inaccessible. But when you follow the solo through from the start right the way through to the finish, everything flows together really, really nicely. So if you get a chance, track down a copy of Blues for Hollywood by Frank Gambale, because it's a really good example of this, and you'll see what I mean. So what I'm getting at is, when you come to play a solo, think about how it's going to be received by the people who are listening to it. Put some sort of structure to it. There isn't something where there's a formula that says, okay, start off slow, then build up the speed, then become a bit more complex, then slow it down and speed it up, anything like that. A lot of it's you need to make these judgments for yourself. You probably noticed in a lot of these videos I don't specifically give you things you can take away and just immediately use. I just give you ideas, things to go and think about and see how you can incorporate it into your playing, and and make the idea your own. The best teachers I've ever had were the ones that never actually said, you're doing that wrong and you need to do X, Y or Z. The best teachers are the ones that say, why would it be better if you didn't do that? What could you do instead? So what I want to do is just give you some ideas. So if you think about how you structure a solo, do you immediately start playing quickly when you go into it, or do you actually start off with something a bit more subtle and then build up the speed or build up the complexity or whatever? There's a lot of parallels here with other mediums, things like books or movies or whatever. If you think about watching a movie, the plot's going to evolve. There's going to be bits that are a bit slower, a bit more scene setting, then more action. If you think about it, say a movie where the hero's getting chased by the bad guys, that's really fast, it's really intense. Then he'll duck down the back alley, or he'll hide in a shed or something, and then the pace of the movie slows down. And think about what's the plot line doing there? Is it opportunity for him to catch his breath, or is it injecting some tension because the bad guys are outside still looking for him? But the pace changes, the mood changes, and the whole thing is much more enjoyable to watch, because you've got this variation, and the whole thing grows and evolves, up to some sort of climax and some sort of release at the end, as all the plot lines come together and resolve themselves. And you can think about structuring a guitar solo in the same way. Start off, set out some moods, some phrases, and then explore those, evolve those as you go through. Change the pace, change the variety. How you play as well, having some feeling to what you're doing. This is another one of those things that it's very easy to talk about, but it's really, really hard to teach. It's something you need to find for yourself. the idea of being able to put some emotion into a piece, whether that's happiness, sadness, tension, whatever, being able to make the emotion come across in your playing, rather than just saying, well, I know that these notes will work against these chords, so I can use them. Again, another like movie, book sort of example. If you think about all the movies you enjoy the most, the ones that move you, the ones that have the biggest reaction with you are probably the ones where there's a really good performance by the actors. They're not just stood there on the set saying the lines and going through the motions, they're actually putting something into it. All the good performances, the ones where you really get in the sense that this is really happening, the emotions really coming across. And it's the same with your guitar playing, or playing any instrument. You should be able to convey the feeling rather than just run through the notes. And I think that's kind of tied with the first topic I was talking about how you structure a piece. It's all about the feel and the way a solo would evolve and progress or whatever. Here's a little exercise you could try. If you play guitar a lot and you practice a lot, your fingers will be fairly proficient, and you could probably go into playing some reasonably complex, twiddly guitar parts without too much effort. As an exercise, just try slowing things down and just pick a really simple phrase. One that I like is just based, say, around the notes of a minor pentatonic. Start off on the root note, so we'll play something saying A minor pentatonic. So we'll start on the A at the 7th fret on the D string. Then go up to the flat 3rd at the 5th fret on the 3rd string. The 4th at the 7th fret on the 3rd string. And there's also a 5th in there that I want to play, which is going to be an E in this case. It's either going to be the 5th fret on the 2nd string, or I could play it at the 9th fret on the 3rd string, or I could bend to it by a couple of semitones. So that's already starting to show you that there's different ways you can move that phrase. Move through that phrase using those notes. Different things you can do with your fingers, using slides, vibrato, bends, whatever. And the way that you use those techniques and the way that you phrase the notes, it helps to give the phrase some feeling. So, what to do with that? Well, just try playing that phrase against a backing track. Start off slowly, and as time goes on, evolve that. Use that as your building blocks. Maybe add in some notes here and there, but keep it as fundamentally as the core phrase, and see how you can evolve it. Over a period of time as you're playing. Come up with another simple phrase. Start that slow. Play that over a backing track, or get your buddies to to play backing for you, and to see what you can do to grow the piece. And that should help to get you used to the idea of taking an idea and moving the idea from one end of a solo to the other, and it gives the solo like a continuity, because you've got that phrase, or you've got certain phrases that you use all the way through, but as the piece becomes, say, maybe faster or more intense or whatever, those phrases are evolving as well. Let's kick in the backing track and I'll show you the sort of thing I mean. food for thought there. Like I said, I'd prefer just to give you ideas for you to go away and experiment with and make them your own, rather than just giving you something prescriptive and saying, you know, that's how you should be doing it. You know, it's about experimenting and being creative and learning things for yourself and making them your own. So have fun with that. I hope it helps to improve the soloing that you do. And have fun, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye for now.